is the first woman to run a British and European Hindu organisation, and first Hindu woman invited to become a member of the European Council of Religious Leaders. She's currently the Vice President of the Religions for Peace UK, and was formerly Secretary General of the Hindu Forum of Britain for 2 terms. She has a distinguished career as an equality and diversity consultant, and we're delighted that she can join us this afternoon. Mrs. Taylor.
Hari Om and Namaste, Pujya Swamiji, Venerable Sila Vimala, Charanjit Singh, and in my tradition, I'm a Gujarati by ethnic group. We usually say my elders, my brothers and sisters, and children. So hopefully I've included everybody that's here in my welcome. And that welcome is spiritual and cultural. I grew up in part of India where many religions meet. So I was in the area where there are Hindus, Jains, Zoroastrians, Christians. I must admit I haven't seen a Sikh in the area until I went back in 2007 and then found out there's a Gurdwara within 4 miles of where I grew up. So I learned multi-faith at quite a young age is what I was trying to get to. That I lived in a village where we had a derasa, that's a temple for the Jains, but the Hindu temple was outside the village. So you learn to appreciate all different faiths and traditions. And that spiritual feeling I brought with me when I came to the UK, and I thought it was a bit strange to have to learn it in school, because you learn it as you live, and to have to be taught that now you have this faith and this one, and we all must live together. I thought, well, this is a bit strange to have to be taught that, but I hadn't realized that there are countries where there are almost all of one religion. And so they never knew what multi-faith was. So Britain's had a large learning curve, and I've had a large learning curve to adopt to all of these things. But it's my spiritual path that led me to be involved in faith and faith issues. I was always drawn towards organizations which were multi-faith, but that work started by going to my temple regularly and feeding my soul. And that strengthened me enough to then go to other faiths and other traditions. And today we're talking about spiritual path to harmony. And I asked Swamiji, what should I talk about? And he said, talk about the work that you do. Where has it led me? I joined my first council of faiths that reflected 9 different religions from the UK. I joined that in my 30s. I was interested, I was curious, I wanted to meet people of other faiths and traditions and learn how they do things, what feeds their soul. And in that way I joined a local council of faiths, which then led me to join a regional council of faiths. So I was on the East of England Faiths Council, and I was there representing the Hindu Forum of Britain. And that then led me to look at the issues which lead to harmony. So if we're looking at peace, what are the things that lead to peace? The obvious one is the absence of war. But is that the only thing that leads to peace? Yeah? If you are living in a country where your religion is not recognized or appreciated, does that give you peace? You need recognition. If you are hungry, and the Venerable Sila Vimala referred to a little bit of this, if you're poor, if you're hungry, and you see other people who have abundance and are throwing food away, does that leave you in peace? So I wanted to work on these sort of issues. And I had an opportunity. I was invited to join the European Council of Religious Leaders. they were looking for an active Hindu to join this organization, and they felt that in the UK I was very active on Hindu issues, so they asked me to join the European Council of Religious Leaders. And I'm not going to go through all the things we've done because I became a member in 2011. I'm just going to talk about the last couple of years. So, the council includes the leaders of all the major faiths that are practiced in Europe. Christians, Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, Sikhs, Jews, we all have representatives on this council. And just to make a point about this thing on refugees, there was a point when European countries were closing their borders to these refugees who were clearly running from their country because they could not live there in peace. And to make our point, we met at the place where Austria, Germany and Italian borders meet, Brixen Bosen. You had leaders from the Hindu tradition, Jains were not there, but all the other religions that I mentioned. We met in that town to make the point that we as religious leaders are coming to the place where the refugees come, and then Austria had closed its borders, and we wanted to make the point that we as religious leaders don't agree with that. So this is a very simple thing to say at national and international level. You can just make this point by your very presence there. But we also issued a statement on this issue, which you can read on the European Council of Religious Leaders website. And that statement would go to every government, every political institution, in order to encourage each institution to think about how we treat people. And the theme for Religions for Peace, the worldwide organization, for the 5 years from 2013 to 2018 was welcoming the other. That was making the point that at the moment the biggest crisis on peace is refugees and the movement of people, and we wanted to say that we as faith leaders agree that we should be welcoming the other. One of the other things I've tried very hard and have not been able to make possible was there is a project which looks at the sanctity of places of worship. And I think this morning we heard that there was some consequences to Israel trying to protect a place of worship by putting in metal detectors, which the Muslims have objected to. Now, one of the projects that Religions for Peace Europe have been involved in is going to places where there are places of worship which are in conflict and trying to work with the different communities to bring peace. Because if any one of the communities cannot go to a place of worship in peace, it doesn't lead to peace in the heart, and it can lead to conflict and can lead to war. So these are the sort of projects I give my time to, and I give my time to these projects because I think there is a need. There are lots of groups working on food issues. There are lots of groups working on other issues, political issues, equality of women issues. All of those things which leads to peace and harmony. But I wanted to make sure the faith angle of it was not ignored. And therefore, I've given my time to that particular side of things. I have worked with individuals. I work with groups in Bangladesh to look at the issue of peace. Because in Bangladesh, this majority Muslim country, Hindus are persecuted. So I work with them, encourage them, support them, advise them. How can we do things from here? We can send clothing, we can send food, we can send encouragement, we can send advice. And if we don't do those things, then what is our life for? If we are not here to help people, then what is our life for? So each one of us can contribute. It doesn't have to be at international level because not many people get invited to that level, and I've been privileged blessed that I was invited and I was able to contribute. I was able to give one of the dharmic voices, because we have Buddhists at that level, and Hindus and Sikhs and so on, but I'm able to give one of the dharmic voices. I'm going to give you one example. This year, the European Council of Religious Leaders met in Finland. It's 500 years to the Reformation in Finland, and it wasn't an easy thing. There was bloodshed when Christians, Protestants broke from the Catholic Church. There was literally bloodshed, and we had a conference where they wanted to know about the experiences of other religions. And one of the things I said, I happened to get my hand up first, I said, well, I'm a Hindu, and Hinduism is one of the oldest religions from the subcontinent, and from it came Buddhism and Sikhism, and I said, we have the leaders here, I'll let them talk for themselves, because that was seamless in the sense that there was no conflict between the Hindus and the Sikhs, or the Hindus and the Buddhists at the point of forming another tradition, as there was when it was the Reformation. And what was interesting was these leaders saying, oh, we didn't even know there had been such events. We weren't aware that this had happened. So we are able to give the view of the dharmic traditions that you can have debate, you don't have to have conflict. You can work together, you don't have to be opposing one another all the time. And I was able to give an input to that. And I just want to finish, won't take more than a minute or so. One of the last places I've been to this year, and on average I travel 1 week in every 4 or 5, once a month I'm abroad. I was invited by Princeton University at a colloquium they had in Vienna. I'm not allowed to mention who said what, but one of the general themes of that was, at one point we were discussing the role of religion in nation building. There are many religions that are founded by faith and on spiritual purposes, but then political will and power and control comes in, and sadly what happens because of power and control gets blamed on faith and religion. So we had a debate about this issue, and to look at how can it be done and how can it be done peaceably. And I put my hand up and said, well, in Europe most of the countries are founded by faith. It's now looking at how you, instead of being faith, you look at faiths plural and look at how we can accommodate all, and that would be more peaceful. So these are the sort of things you can get involved in at ground level, through Council of Faiths, which is where I know challenge it from. We're working on a refugee project, welcoming the other, and I'm hoping to give more contribution to that. With the Venerable Sila Vimala, we did something which also leads towards peace. We were both Olympic chaplains in the 2012 Olympic. And I remember you sharing the flowers, because they had permission to have the flowers in and we didn't. And Venerable Sila Vimala used to share the flowers. So I remember that with great. The Sikhs weren't even given a room. So what we did was, we had Sikh things in the Hindu room so that the Sikhs could come and sit with us. And the same with the Jains. We also had, so the Hindu room accommodated other faiths. And this is what leads to peace. So I hope you remember that each one of you can contribute something towards it. And if anybody wants to come and ask me about how to get involved, I'll be very happy. Namaste.